said, today we're looking at what it means to have a prosperous soul. And for me, I sat and thought about it. I would invite you to do the same. What does that mean for you? What we know is that if we have a bankrupt soul, and a bankrupt soul would be one where, things happen and we go into a tailspin and we are in a place of victimhood or resentment or anger or fear or any of those qualities, that we shrink and we're living from a contracted place, and we're feeling lack. And that lack is that bankrupt soul. And that is the opposite of a prosperous soul. We all are, as we live this life here on earth, we will always have circumstances. And what we want to really keep in the forefront of our mind is that despite the circumstances that we have, we don't want our circumstances to have us. And so that means developing a prosperous soul so that we can move through our life no matter what is going on and still find the joy and still evolve and grow. And that's what it's all about. And as I said, it's about having that expansive soul, in that really aligning your thoughts in a way that you see yourself bigger than whatever situation you're in. And that is that's the solution. But it's not always easy. It's not always easy for us, because what happens for most of us is that we put our attention on what's happening for us. But here's the problem for that, and I really want you to take note of this, write it down, put it on a sticky, put it somewhere where you will absolutely see it. Whatever we put our attention on grows. So if we are putting our attention on all the things that are happening in our life that we are not happy about, it's just going to grow. And so that is what we are talking about today, is how to shift our attention to where we want to go. We're going to expand our mind, and that includes aligning our thoughts with our soul, aligning the patterns that we're in, aligning the habits that we have, so that we can become more expansive. And so think about that. Really, what would it look like if you were to 5x your courage, if you were to 10x your boldness with your actions? Right? A lot of us have a thought about doing something bold or setting a boundary. If we're in a relationship that we feel like we're getting, stomped on, as soon as we have the thought, we get scared and we say, oh, you know what, maybe tomorrow. So what would it look like if you were bold enough to set that boundary? What would it look like if you had the courage to really look at your life honestly and get to the truth? How would you be living? And, for most of us, that would mean having a good attitude, thinking nourishing thoughts, thinking life-giving thoughts. So I want to share a story about a woman who came to me, and this story will really support our focus today of developing a prosperous soul. Melinda came to me, a very broken woman. And she had found out that her husband was having an affair, and she was a very successful nurse. She had a great career. And yet finding out this information really, really took her down. She was depressed 90% of the time. She said that she felt like her thoughts were just like a contaminated cesspool in her mind. She had suicidal thoughts. She couldn't figure out how to move forward. And she was in this cycle that was depleting her soul, that was bankrupting her soul, that left her feeling like a shell of herself. She had a lot of resentment. She had a lot of inner thoughts of blame, not just around her husband, but around herself, thoughts of why aren't I enough, thoughts of could I have done something different? All these thoughts are thoughts that most of us have when things aren't going right. It's like a ping pong ball, or those machines, where the ball just goes bing, ding, 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 ding. That's what it's like with the thoughts in our mind, right? And so when we started working together, she started to look at what it was. Look at her thoughts. As I said, has to do with getting to the truth, being honest. And what it means to have a prosperous soul is that you are walking in the truth and you are walking in love. And that's what the prosperous soul does. It walks in truth and it walks in love. And when you walk in truth, you get to the light, right? Which is that divine love, which is, as I said, for me, it's God. It's whatever that is for you, but you get to the truth. And so with Melinda, she started to get to the truth, started to sort out the things, the thoughts that were taking her down, healing those things. And as she started healing those things, she literally got to a place where she said she was in the shower one day and a thought started to come to her about what her husband had done. And she had the strength from the work that she had done to look at that thought and say, okay, you know what? That was the past. And if I continue to look at that thought the way I have been up until now, it is going to continue to take me down. And I am choosing to live a more empowered life. And I know I have a choice. And so I'm going to choose the truth, and the truth about my husband, the truth about myself, because she recognized that there was her part in all of it, as there always is. It takes two to tango. But that's what requires getting to the truth. You're not allowing, she wasn't allowing herself to be a doormat. That's not what truth and love are about. The truth is about really getting to the root of things and seeing things as in the light. And the light was not about her beating herself up, about really thinking that she was nothing after finding out about her husband. The truth was way more than that. And so she got to a place where she was able to let go of the resentment and the hurt and the pain. She was able to heal. She was able to bring love into her heart for herself. And the more she was able to do that, she was able to show up in her relationship with more love. And she and her husband were able to evolve the relationship, because as she got honest with herself, she was able to have the courage to come forward and have some hard conversations with her husband that evolved them. She stayed the course. She did the things that were outside her comfort zone, and she chose to get out of the victim mode and to get into an empowered mode by really connecting to the light, by connecting to God's truth and connecting to love. And where that took her was a place of evolvement within a relationship where, as I said, she started setting boundaries that were appropriate, that honored her, that honored really everyone's highest good. And she started to admire things in her husband, in her family, in herself. And she built a new foundation. And from that foundation, she was able to evolve her relationship with herself, evolve her relationship then with her husband, and to evolve them together. And she got to a really good place, and it was all from a place of empowerment, of really connection, really connecting to divine love and creating a prosperous soul. So that is what is possible for you. So let's break it down here, because there's 4 things about these essential elements of what a prosperous soul is around truth and love that you can take some notes on. The first is to walk in the truth implies knowing the truth, right? So it requires deliberate purpose and effort to understand the truth and to walk in it. But there is an inherent danger as we grow in our knowledge of the truth, because what happens sometimes is, yes, there is truth in the events that happened, that there's a truth that her husband did betray. And what the danger is to get stuck in those truths and to linger in that truth, because there's also the truth of who we really are, our essence, our soul, and what we're here to do and to accomplish. And so it's about building up the truth that we discover that has to do with love. And so Melinda made a decision. She did. She made a decision to heal her heart and her mind and to get out of her own stuff, which takes courage, right? Takes courage and boldness, and to get out of her way, to gain a bigger perspective, to gain God's perspective, to gain divine love's perspective, so that she could know the truth. The second element is to walk in the truth implies growth in the truth, right? So the Gospel John talks about walking in the truth. He doesn't say that we should sit and rest in the truth. He says we should walk in the truth. And walking implies steady movement in a purposeful direction. So that means that requires discipline and effort. Walking is not as quick as running, but if you keep at it, walking will get you where you want to go. It's about taking daily steps, baby steps that support you and support what wants to emerge through your soul, right? In every adversity, there's a seed of wisdom, of goodness, of growth. And so that also requires making a decision that you're not going to be a victim, that life loves you and that you love life. No excuses, and you're going to move forward. As I said, whatever we put our attention on grows. And so Melinda started to allow divine love into her heart to help her heal. And slowly but surely, she gained God's perspective as she walked with him and developed a relationship with God and with divine love. And that helped her let go of the pain and heal the fear, the anger, the resentment, which allowed her to trust herself and her husband. The third element is growth in the truth should always result in love. Sometimes love requires confronting a person, right? Having those hard conversations, like I said Melinda had with her husband, setting boundaries, taking care of yourself. And Melinda became empowered as she did this, and so will you as you do this, believing in yourself, accepting yourself, and honoring your needs. And as I said, she gained God's perspective, and that allowed her to also have a new admiration for her family. And that wouldn't have happened if she did not experience the growth and the healing. And then the fourth element is that love manifests itself in practical good deeds. So as you start to build your relationship with yourself, as Melinda started to rebuild her relationship with herself, focusing on treating herself with more love and care and nourishing thoughts, really understanding the truth of who she is and rebuilding her soul to be a prosperous soul. And the more she did this, the more she felt whole and balanced, as you will too. And she was able to show up feeling better about herself. And so as she was feeling better about herself, she was able to do more good because she was seeing the bigger picture. And she was able to evolve. And as she evolved, the relationship evolved. And she was in it to evolve in a way that allowed for everyone's highest good. So if Melinda's story resonates with you, even if you don't share all of her emotions or levels of despair, ask yourself right now if you feel stuck or if you feel uncertain of what to do next, or if you just feel kind of lost and you would really like to develop a prosperous soul, but you just don't know that you can do it on your own, or that you want some help with that to get your life back on track. And if you need help doing that to boost your confidence, to boost your self-esteem, to boost your self-love, I would invite you, and I would be really honored to support you in a conversation and creating a plan for you. And so if that is something that you would like to do, I've opened my calendar. I don't always have a lot of times available, but I've opened my calendar to chat with you. And it's completely, my gift to you. It normally has a $500 value, but it's my gift to you. And all you have to do is go to callwithsherry2.com. And Sherry is SHERRI. So that's callwithsherry2.com, and set up some time to chat with me. I would, as I said, it's an honor to be on this journey with you. I've been there. I've overcome it. I'm, been on this other side for quite a while now. And I know how to help you. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, book some time with me. And until then, think about, what is your truth? How can you be walking in truth and love? And I would love to hear what that might mean for you in the comments below. Have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.